This week I'm gonna show you guys how we almost scrapped this whole project. It had a ton of challenges and there was a ton of mistakes which we are normally not used to, but I'm gonna show you guys how we fixed all of the mistakes. This was definitely one of my favorite builds of all time, and you guys do want to stick around till the end to see how this masterpiece came out. Starting off with the biggest challenge and problem number one was the slab itself. In the drying process, the slab ended up bending and cupping a lot, which I was very uncertain that we will be able to rescue the slab. I did consult with the client. This was a huge risk for us going forward because once you're going to cast the epoxy, there's no way going back. The client obviously left everything in our hands. I went with my gut feeling. We pushed forward with the project because obviously as a carpenter, you'll know for a fact if something is not going to work out or if something is going to work out. My gut feeling did pay off at the end. I have been using the Delmost Navigator JX30 moisture meter for the past 6 to 7 months. I've been testing it, see how it works, and with all honesty, I do have to say that I love this machine. It's got more than 200 wood species. You can change your temperature, and you got these two little pins that hits right into the core of the slab. That's gonna give you the most accurate moisture readings any carpenter can ask for. Having the moisture content and knowing exactly if your wood is dry or not is super crucial for any rivet table manufacturer. I honestly do have to say that this is one of the best investments any fabricator can make in going forward, because you do have to know what the moisture content is. Don't want to end up replacing your table in a few months to come once you deliver it to one of your clients. I am going to leave a link down in the description if any of you guys are interested in looking into getting a moisture meter. Your moisture levels in your slab needs to be under 11%. If it's going to be more than 11%, you're going to have huge problems. Your epoxy might delaminate from the wood, your wood might crack, or your table is going to bend, warp, or cup in the future. So you need to make sure that your moisture content is under 11%. About 2 years ago, the same client asked us to manufacture this epoxy coffee table for him, and he wanted a matching entrance console table for his wife's birthday. Let me know in the comments section down below, what do you think of that coffee table? And do you think we pulled it off at the end of this video that these two furniture pieces fit perfectly together? I also did make a DIY video on how we manufactured that beautiful coffee table. If you do want to go and check it out, I am going to leave a link on the top right. You can click it now if you want to go and check that video. Once my design on my table is finished, it's time to move to the next step. The next step in our project is to calculate epoxy. Now, it's really not that difficult. It's a simple calculation of length times width times height. And I'm going to show you the method we're using, and it might help you in calculating epoxy. Now, on the side of our mold, we're going to mark 100 mil 10 centimeters apart. Now, I've got 10 markings on the side of my mold. And then I'm going to measure on each marking in line with that marking. I'm going to measure in centimeters. And then I'm going to take all of that calculated measurements. I'm going to plus them together, and then I'm going to divide them by 10 because there's 10 markings. That is going to give you an average width. Then I'm going to times it by the height of my slab and by the length of my slab. And that is going to give you the total volume of epoxy you're going to need. Another tip I want to leave with you guys, and something we use every single time we manufacture a table, is to leave your epoxy in the sun just to get it a little bit more hot. And while you see me waiting in the sun for the epoxy to heat up, just take this time to subscribe to our channel. Like this video and let me know in the comment section down below, do you love our content? And I'm still waiting for you to subscribe anytime now. For you that did subscribe, Thank you very much. Now it's time to mix our epoxy. We are using a deep casting epoxy for multiple reasons. The main reason is to help us to reduce air bubbles, and we're going to add our color pigment in the epoxy. And a huge tip I want to leave with you guys, if you want to see how your end color is going to look more or less, is by adding your color pigment, then use a transparent cup. Put the same amount of epoxy, which is going to be more or less the thickness of your table, and that is going to give you a good idea of how your end color is going to look. Quick side note, what we note is that the color will always come out slightly darker. Now, it's literally impossible for us to teach you all our methods and techniques in one simple video. It's literally impossible. So we constructed an online epoxy masterclass going into detail on how we manufacture tables. We designed this course for all woodworkers, from your beginners all the way up to your experts. This course is designed to help you build an epoxy table successfully the first time. Now, this is what you can expect in this masterclass. It's around about 3 hours long, and we had so many good feedback on clients that purchased the course and they manufactured tables successfully. So this is what you can expect in this masterclass. We've been building epoxy tables for many years now, and we are finally going to share all our methods and techniques with you. My name is Greg, and I am going to show you how to build the perfect epoxy table. I'm going to take you through the step-by-step methods we take in building epoxy tables on a daily basis. I'm going to show you all the tools you need, exactly how to use them, and throw in some tips and tricks down the line. This masterclass has been designed for all woodworkers, from your beginner all the way up to your experts. Everyone thinks you need to cast your second layer of epoxy once your first layer has set. That's not true. You need to cast your second layer of epoxy once your first layer has become tacky. Click on this video or in the description down below for more information. Unfortunately, we do have a few old farts that's watching my content that's always complaining I'm talking too much. They'll never understand that I've got a very wide audience that actually wants to learn how to build epoxy tables. So can I please get a spam in the comment section down below, old farts? I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes and then we're going to continue with the video. So for all the old farts in here, you had your 5 seconds. If you don't like me talking too much, just mute the video or just get out of here. If you don't like my content, you are more than welcome to go somewhere else. Oh yes, and don't forget that 1% of people that absolutely hate epoxy tables. They literally comment they are busy vomiting while they're watching my videos. That's so funny. And the best of all is all those guys saying that we are busy killing the animals. Yeah bro, my dog is gonna eat my table. Get out of here! If you don't like epoxy tables, just don't watch the videos. It's as simple as that. Back to the video. So the casting process takes us round about 3 to 4 days depending on the season. In winter months it takes a little bit longer because the epoxy takes longer to cure. In summer months it's a little bit faster. Once we are done with our casting process, we leave the epoxy table for around about 7 days so the epoxy can cure fully. To help you with dust particles, we use the material to wrap all our furniture in and place it over the table. This is going to help you to reduce most of your dust particles. Just make sure that you leave some air ventilation so the epoxy can actually breathe. Now the next guy you're going to see with me in the video, his name is Zimi. Now Zimi comes from Zimbabwe. He came to South Africa with his family for the hope for a better future. I employed him and I do have to say he's such a blessing for our company. If you want to buy me or Zimi a beer, you'll see there's a thanks button down below. We will honestly really appreciate it. Now Zimi is here to help us grow my company. I also have another employee, Sultan. He's my steel worker. So all the work you see on our social medias and on our YouTube channel has been built by myself. Now Sultan, our steel guy, has got a lot of steel knowledge, but as time passes, I am teaching him how to do woodworking so he can gain another skill. Outside YouTube, I actually have a company that's fabricating custom furniture. We cater more for the high-end clients, but I don't think anyone realizes how much work goes into a YouTube channel. So yes, you do not have to donate any money, but if we can ask you a really big favor, and not only from me, but all the other YouTube channels you are watching and supporting, just a simple comment and a like and a subscription means the world to us. The more subscribers we have, the more video recommendation YouTube will give to people that's watching YouTube. So yes, that's why you will always find us asking, can you please like, subscribe and comment on this video? I know it's super irritating, but it really helps our small YouTube channels grow, and it really gives us the opportunity and platform to put our work out there and help the rest of the world with DIY projects. So yes, I'm going to ask you now, can you please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment down below what do you think of this video. Awesome. Thank you for the support, guys, and I really appreciate every single one of you. I really love you guys. Back to the video. So this was another mistake from our side. This is the second time this has happened to us, where the white melamine stuck to the epoxy. I promise you, when this happened to you the first time, you will make double sure that you're going to apply enough wax on your white melamine so your epoxy doesn't stuck to your melamine sheet. Now, the only reason why I think this happened is, I think with the first cast of our epoxy, I think I cast it a little bit too much. The epoxy overheated slightly, and somewhere, somehow, something happened with the heat and the wax, and yes, the epoxy got stuck to the white melamine sheet. This wasn't a problem. The CNC ended up taking off all the materials, but next time I'll definitely make sure that I'm not pushing my limits, because it is going into winter months, meaning we can cast a little bit more epoxy because it does take longer to cure. The perfect temperature to cast epoxy is around about 20-21 degrees. In summer months, temperatures can rise from 35, 36, 37 degrees, so to have room temperature control is quite crucial. Once I remove my mold, it's time to move to the next step. I loaded the epoxy table in my van and I head out to my CNC supplier. He's around about 20 minutes from where I am, and he doesn't charge a leg and an arm to do the work for me. Now, this is where the next mistake comes in. Our CNC supplier was a little bit under pressure with time, and we literally had 1 hour to surface all the work we had for him. This resulted in small little chip marks in the top side of my epoxy. Now, there was a solution for this, but I wasn't too happy with the result because we took off a little bit more material than we should have. We took around about 2 mil at a time, which is not sufficient if you're going to remove epoxy on a CNC machine. Having the table back at my shop, it's time to cut our table down to its final size. This is why it's super crucial to manufacture your table slightly bigger lengthwise and widthwise once you are busy with the casting process. And this is going to help you to cut your table down to your final size in this step. Cutting your table square is really simple. You start with one of your longest sides on your table, then you measure the size you want to cut your table down to. On the opposite side, you just cut. Lastly, you just cut your 2 smaller corners. We do this on all our tables. We literally double check afterwards and we work to the millimeter. We are using the Festool HK85 track saw. Super powerful tool, and I will definitely recommend it. We also have a couple of tracks, which our longer one is around about 3 meters, and we got 2 smaller ones if we do smaller cuts. Do you remember a couple of minutes ago I told you we had a huge mistake where our CNC supplier was a little bit rushed? We took off a little bit more material than we should when we CNC'd our top. This is the part of the video where I'm going to fix our mistakes. And as you can see, that small little chip outs, the one thing we figured out, if you open the chip a little bit more, it gives the epoxy enough space to go inside that hole. And that's just exactly what we done. And that's exactly how we fixed this mistake. At first, I was a little bit skeptical if you're going to see it once you're going to apply the oil, but the end result was absolutely magical. We didn't see any small little imperfections on the top of this table. This is the one thing I want to make crystal clear. Even though we build and manufacture hundreds of these tables each year, we are also human beings. There's there's no reason for me to even put this part in the video and make it look like we are the perfect company. Every single person out there makes mistakes. And that's the beauty of being a carpenter, is learning how to fix your mistakes. For every problem out there, you need to have a solution. And I think in this video, it makes it crystal clear that we also make many mistakes, but we always find a solution to fix our mistakes. There was one thought that came to my mind while I was busy closing these holes, and that was, should I put this part of the project in the video? Then I thought to myself, let me just add it, because maybe somewhere out there someone had the same problem and we could have helped someone with this solution. So let me know in the comment section down below if this ever happened to you before, and if you have a better solution for the mistake we made. And let me know if you guys would like me to add more of these sections in my videos, the mistakes we made and how we fixed it. Because honestly, I think not only myself, but I think a lot of people out there will learn from them. The next step in our project is to completely cover the top of our table with a thin layer of epoxy. This allows us to close all the small little cracks and holes, all the small little imperfections, because if you're only going to close the cracks and holes with epoxy, you're going to sit with a stained mark on your wood. That's why you need to completely cover the surface of your wood with a layer of epoxy. This is the picture the client sent to me, the vision he had for this specific furniture piece. As soon as he sent us the picture, I really got excited, because this was gonna be a first for us. Building an entrance console table with a wooden base that's made out of epoxy and wood that's got a slight angle. There was so many technical aspects that went into the thought process to make this a successful build. The first thing that came to my mind was the top of this table was going to be extremely heavy, and I don't want to put too much stress on the base. And then I thought, how am I going to fasten the base to the top of my table? And I don't know about you guys, but most of my ideas comes at night when I go to sleep. I literally dream about this stuff. And I absolutely live for this, is to come up with solutions, because every single time you come across a problem, there's always a solution. And it's the best part of my work, is to see that the ideas you come up actually works. So I started the base off just by cutting a first angle, and the angle we decided on was 14 to 15 degrees. Now this was something we eyeballed, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of carpentry, is I would say 50% of your work comes from eyeballing. Then we took a small white melamine sheet. We drew our angle on the sheet, and then we placed our base we just cut onto the sheet to make sure that both of our legs are actually cut to exact the same measurement, because from the floor to the top of our table was 800 mm, which is equivalent to 80 centimeters. From a designing aspect, the client originally asked us if we can build the base in such a way that the river needs to run in the middle. I gave it a thought for around about a day or two, and I did consult with him and told him it's going to be a little bit of a risk in terms of the steel beam we're going to install on the underside, because I don't want the threaded inserts to be drilled into the epoxy. I consulted with him, and the design we came up was that going to design and manufacture the base in such a way that the epoxy is going to be only on the one side of our base. Do you see the bottom right on the side of our table? There's epoxy underneath our table. And do you remember at the start I told you that our wood was extremely bended and cupped? If I didn't point this out, you wouldn't have noticed it. This is the result of a piece of wood that's cupped too much. And a piece of advice I want to give you guys is that when you're going to place your slab in your mold ready to cast your epoxy, you obviously have to clamp your wood down. Now sections like this, don't clamp your wood down that it's flush with the surface of your melamine. You're just going to place an enormous amount of stress on your wood, and once you're going to remove your table from your white melamine sheet, your wood is going to have muscle memory. So in time, that wood is just going to bend back. back. I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole sanding process, but we ended up sanding our wood and our epoxy sections to 320 grit sandpaper. Then we used the scorch pad from Festool to soften up the 320 grit we just sanded. Our go-to oil on all our epoxy projects, we use Odie's oil. We absolutely love using this oil for multiple reasons. You can use it for indoor furniture, outdoor furniture, leather products, and it's got a food degradable aspect in it. So if you want to build chopping boards, it's the perfect oil to use. And what I love about Odie's oil is that you can sand your wood to whatever grit your heart desires. So if you want to sand up to 1000 grit, you can do that. But for this specific project, we only sanded to 320 grit and the wood is absolutely smooth. So Odie's claim that you only need one coat of oil, but we found that applying one coat of oil, your wood looks extremely dry. So what we found is that we will start off with the Odie's oil Super Duper. We will apply the oil, we will leave it overnight. The next day we will come and apply the original Odie's oil on top of the Super Duper. Then we will leave it for around about 3 to 4 days. Then we will go and deliver our furniture piece. We found that this is the best method for applying Odie's oil. It all depends on how thirsty your wood is. Applying our Odie's oil, we like using an old sanding machine because the vibration of the machine basically massages the oil into the wood. Remember a couple of minutes ago I told you there's stuff I dream about at night, especially when it comes to the designing aspect of furniture. This was one of it. How to fasten our base to the underside of our table. And this is the design and concept we came up with. Using a 5mm thick base plate. Fastening the base plate to our base and then fastening that base to the underside of our table. If you have any ideas or design on how to fasten this base to the underside of the table, I would love to hear from you guys and I would love to hear your ideas because I literally gave this a day or two thought process and this was the only way I could come up with. By fastening the base plate to our wooden base, we used threaded inserts. And how to install a threaded insert is really not that difficult. First, we will drill a hole. Then we will countersink it and then we will install our threaded insert to make sure it's flush with the wood. It's really as simple as that. This was also a tricky part of the project because we had to make sure that we actually drill the holes 100% at a 90-degree angle. And as you can see, the wood next to our base, we made a small template just to make sure it sits at the right degrees our end product is going to sit. Then we're going to drill from the top at a 90-degree angle to make sure that the screws we're going to install is actually going to sit flush and not skew. I normally don't share personal stuff on my YouTube channel, but I do have to apologize for our true followers out there that's following our content. For the last 6-7 months, I haven't been paying a lot of attention to the quality of our content. There's a reason why. I got married on the 6th of October to my best friend, and I've been a little bit burnt out the last 2 years of producing content on a weekly basis. Guys, you absolutely don't understand how much work goes into a YouTube channel. Let me give you guys a quick rundown of how a normal day in the life of Greg looks like. I would wake up at 6. From 6 to 7, I will have my own time. That's Greg time. I will read a little bit of Bible, I will drink my coffee, I will feed the birds or whatever I have to do. Then I'll go to work. From 7:30 to around about 4:30 to 5 o'clock, I will go my normal day job, I will run my business. And then from there, I will come home and all the content we shot during that day, I will put into a YouTube video. But this editing of videos takes enormous amount of time. It's literally a job on its own. I would come home around about 5 to 6 o'clock. Then me and my wife will make food. Once we are done making food, we will most probably watch one episode of a series. After we watch series, I will sit in front of the computer doing editing, voiceovers until 1 o'clock at night. This literally burnt me out for the last 2 years, trying to produce content, trying to make something for myself out of YouTube videos. It's really, really a hard work, guys. And I do want to encourage every single one out there that do want to start the channel, the most important step is consistency. Make sure you post a video each week. This is gonna be the end of our video. I want to thank each and every single one of you that enjoyed this content. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have learned something new today. And before you guys head out, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment down below old fart. Thank you guys. I honestly hope you enjoy the end product, and make sure you go and check out our epoxy online masterclass. It's honestly going to help you guys build successful tables. See you guys next week. Cheers.